Hello guys, I'm back from another video and today we're talking about what if Deku was in RWBY. So in the last video, and let's just say the last video was pretty interesting and also let's just say a bit intense to say the least because because we got our first death in this series, or at least sort of like major death, which is spoilers, Izuku's girlfriend, aka Skyla Lark. And let's just say, oh boy, let's just say Izuku's now completely pissed. So yeah, I'm not going to be explaining what happened last episode because, it's a bit long, but to say the gist of it, basically, let's just say, some shit gone down, and Cinder decides to reveal her little, plan. Not really, all of it, but more like, a little bit of it, which was basically revealing to the world how huntsmen and huntresses are basically just not protecting them, but more like hiding secrets to basically keep them from the prying eyes. And after doing so, they would basically release several Grip into the city as the White Fang members, including somebody by the name of Adam, and also Robin Tortrick and, Neapolitan basically escape, from the prison, or at least the Athlesian ship, as they would start corrupting the area, more specifically the Athlesian, robots to basically, attack the Huntsmen. And as for the Grims and also some of the White Fang members, they would start terrorizing the place as we go back to Izuku and the rest of Team Colorless. As Team Colorless is basically going through the town, basically trying to stop, trying to stop the fight, or at least stop all of the, all of the Grims from basically destroying the area, including some of the, Athlesian robots, but they would be intercepted by, Izuku's, opponent back in the, in the Vistal Festival, as his name was, with his name, let me just, by the name of CW. As CW basically take off his cloak, as he would be revealed to be Cardin Winchester, as he seems to be now combined with a Grim, as he would have a, a face mask similar to a, Hollow or Hollow Ichigo, as he would start taunting him and would basically start attacking, his former team members, and would start proclaiming that he's going to be taking back his place as the leader of Team Cardinal. As the team and also Izuku trying to, stop him, as we currently see, Cardin Winchester about to kill, Dove. As Dove was about to cry, her friend, aka, Skyla, would basically sacrifice herself and would basically get killed and be disintegrated into nothing more than her, bones. But before she can actually get attacked by, Cardin once again, she would be saved by Izuku, as Izuku would start, holding on to the remains of his lover, or, girlfriend, as it would turn into dust. Because it was that powerful, his electricity, and after doing so, he would start taunting him once again, as his, his Six Samurai Renegon would start spinning even more, as they would also notice that it would start becoming a little bit red, to the point that it almost became something else, as it would also gain 3 more Tomo, as after doing so, he would start transforming, or at least doing something, as after going into a stance, he would summon out the Ghetto Maza, its most powerful, summon ever, as in, the Outer Path, as after doing so, it would start coming out of the ground, as everybody would notice the scream of anguish and, the scream of, absolute anger and rage, as they would also see it from a distance, all the way to, Beacon. And this is, by the way, they're currently, similar to the outskirts of, Vale, I guess you could say, and they're basically able to hear that, even though it's currently, so far away, all the way, near, towards, Beacon, which everybody was, afraid, thinking that this is probably a Grim, but no. It was actually Izuku basically, controlling the thing, as after doing so, he would start, using one of its abilities, basically elemental manipulation, as he would start using the Kirin, jutsu, or, Sasuke's, new signature jutsu, as after doing so, we basically ended off the episode where Izuku was about to, crash it towards Cardin. So, yeah, so, let us talk about what happens next, ladies and gents. And also, guys, if you're wondering, why didn't you, change, the, art for, Izuku's, that, aka the Six Samurai Renegon, to the, Rene Sharingan. Because at the time, I was just like, oh, I'm so tired, and I'm also relaxing. Until I realized I had to do that, so I didn't really have time to make that. So yeah, I'm gonna be making that maybe like in the next episode. Or at least, making this, turning it into the, Six Tomoe Renegon. Or, not Six Tomoe Renegon. I meant the Rene Sharingan later. Maybe like after, this video, so I can make it a little bit more, I get to say, continuity based, I guess. I don't really know what to call it. But either way, let us continue on with the episode, shall we? As after, casting the jutsu, he would slam it towards, Cardin, as Cardin would be electrocuted with all of the, shock and energy of the Rene, not Rene Sharingan, I meant all of the Kirin's, strength. As after doing so, Cardin would just be, burned alive, as his body would just be turned into nothing more than black ash. As Cardin would say this, "You bastard." But before he can say anything else, the Ghetto Masa would raise its foot, as Izuku would say this. "Just die, scum," he would say, as after doing so, he would stomp on the dead body, or at least the soon-to-be dead body, of Cardinal Winchester. As after doing so, everybody would, feel a large earthquake from that stomp, as everybody would start shaking, as we currently see, General Ironwood basically going like, "The heck is that thing?" she would say, as she would start getting a report from one of her soldiers, as one of them would say this. "Mistress Ironwood," she would say, he would say, as she would say this. "What is happening? And what is that thing?" she would say, as the man would say this. "Well, you see, that thing was made by Izuku Midoriya," he would say, as after saying that, she would be surprised, as she would say, "Wait, he was able to summon that thing?" she would say, as he would say this. "Yes, it seems that he's able to create that thing from his anger. And it seems that we got another casualty." As she would say this. "Who is it?" she would say. "It was Skylar Large," she would say. As she would say this. "I see." As she would say this. "Yes, the poor boy seems to be quite angry. And not only that, quite rage-fueled," he would say. As after saying so, she would start clenching her fist, as she would say this. "God, if I could have listened," she would say. "If I could have," she would say, as she would say this. "Don't worry, General Ironwood. We'll take care of everything. We're gonna be sending in some more evacuation, more evacuation vehicles soon," he would say, as she would say this. "Good. Now," as she would start, telling over, men to basically get ready. And we go back to Izuku once again, as we currently see Izuku basically in the aftermath of, the large attack that he made. As Izuku would start, dematerializing the Ghetto Masa, as he would kneel down to the ground, completely tired, as he would start crying, as he's currently in front of the, I guess you could say the bit of the dust left of his beloved, Skyla, as the rest of Team Cardinal, not Cardinal, I meant, Team Colorless would say this. "Izuku, are you," as he would say this. "No, I'm not fine," he would say, as he would start crying even more, as, Dove would say this. "Izuku, please," as one of them would start, putting her hand on the soldier, wait for a second, I meant his shoulder, as after doing so, he would say this. Please come back," he would say, as he would start crying, more, as he would try to, summon out his King of Hell, as he would put the ashes into its mouth. But when it did, it would spit out just dust, because it couldn't work. He can't summon her back. He can't revive her. As he would start crying even more, as he would say this. "No, please, come back." As he would start crying even more, as tears would start flowing out of him, almost similar to a river, as both of the girls would just be, they're just saddened. Their friend is gone. So, we go to another perspective. As we currently go to back in the underground base where we see, Amber basically like, still pretty much stuck in the capsule. As we also see Osmond, Jean, and finally Pyrrha, as Pyrrha would say this. So, we just need to transfer or at least, get into that capsule, and then I'll get her powers, she would say, as Osmond would say this. Yes, now, get ready, he would say. As after saying so, she would start getting into the large capsule. As after doing so, she would start, getting ready for the transfer. As while the transfer was happening, we also currently see, Cinder basically arriving, as she would say this. Now I'll finally get the maiden powers, she would say. Or at least the rest of it, she would say. As after saying that, she would get ready for an attack, as she would get ready to throw a large spike at Amber. But before she can, well, we also see Jean basically coming in, as she would basically block the attack, as she would say this. Sorry, but we won't let you do that, she would say. As after saying this, she would say, why you? She would say, as she would start getting ready for a fight. So, as, during the fight, both Jean and also, Cinder seem to be, well, they seem to be quite equal, in fact. And as for Osmond, he would also join into the battle, basically using his, wait for a second. Sorry about that, anyway, continuing on. As he would start using his cane as a sword, as he would charge in, as the fight would continue on, basically them, just like pairing their attacks. And after a while, she would basically get blocked by by an attack by, well, by Osmond's, sword, as she would say this. You stubborn old man, she would say, as he would say this. I'm sorry, young lady, but you're not going to be, taking the rest of the maiden powers. But before she could say anything else, the process would be completed, as we also see, the capsule open, as we see, Pyra basically now in her new, in a, let's just say, a interesting state, as her eyes would start burning with, flames, as she would say this. Whoa, I feel stronger, she would say, as she would start, putting up her hand, as something would start to come out. And this something was fire. As she would shoot off a blast of, like, fire, as after seeing this, wait for a second, as we see, well, Cinder basically dodged it away, as she would say this. Why you, she would say, as after saying that, she would start escaping, as Osmond would say this. I'm guessing you've finally gotten the maiden powers, he would say, as she would say this. Yeah, I'm still getting the hang of this still, she would say. As after saying that, one of them would say this, specifically, well, what's her name? Yeah, Jean, as she would say this. Alright, let's get back, she would say. As after saying that, Osmond would agree and would start leaving the area. As we also see the last dying breath of Amber. So, we go back to Izuku. And the rest of the group basically start leaving, as we see Izuku not really in a good mental state, as he's currently saying to himself, it's my fault. It's my fault for not saving her, he would say. As after saying that under his breath, we also see, one of his members, aka, well, one of his more surviving members, aka, wait for a second, as, well, what is her name again? God freaking damn it! As Rachel would say this, hey Zuko, it isn't your fault, it was Cardinal, she would say, or at least Cardin, she would say. As he would say this, no, it's my fault for not saving her, he would say. As she would say this, stop it, just stop it, let's just continue on, you need to save the others, she would say. As he would say this, you're right, he would say, as he would start clenching on his fist, as he would say this. When I ever see them, whoever started this, he would say, oh, make them pay, he would say, as his eyes would start burning with absolute hatred, as his Sharingan would start, spinning a little bit more, as it seems to be, how do I say this? Oh yeah, completely in bloody rage, as we currently see, well, we go to another perspective, as we currently see the aftermath between, I guess you could say, like, between Adam, you know, Adam and two of the members of Team RWBY, aka Blake and Yang. As we see, Blake basically on the ground, as, we also see, Yang basically on the ground as well. But she seems to be missing an arm, as you would see this. Pathetic, he would say. As after saying that, he would start to leave, but before he can, he would start noticing somebody in the distance, as you would say this. Another target, he would say. I'll take care of him, he would say. Take care of them, he would say. As he would start swinging his katana, as after, the rest of, team, the rest of, team Carlos basically arrived, Izuku would notice both of Team RWBY's members, aka Yang, and also, a one-armed, Yang basically on the ground, as we also see, Adam basically, there wielding up his sword, as he would say this. More pathetic humans, he would say. Now, prepare to die, he would say. As after saying that, wait for a second, Dove would also get ready her sword, as she would start clashing with, Adam, as he would say this. Pathetic. As after saying this, he would get ready his sword, as the sword would start glowing a little bit more of a... As after doing so, he would basically create a red slash, as it would cause, Rachel to basically be knocked down. As when Izuku saw this, he would start becoming a little bit angry, as he would say this. So you must be Izuku Midoriya, the three-eyed demon, I presume, he would say. As he would start growling, as he would say this. Don't you dare hurt my friends, he would say. As after saying that, his eyes would start spinning a little bit. More specifically, his Sharingan. As something would start happening, as his arm would start, glowing and emitting a black, electricity, similar to, how he, how, Cardin was able to do it. As he would say this, take this, Chidori, he would say, as after saying that, he would charge towards him at immense speeds, as he would say, how is he, as he would get stabbed right in the chest by it, as he would scream out, shit, he would say, as he would be thrown to the ground, as he would say this, don't you dare hurt them, he would say, as he would start creating an axe in his hands, as he would start slamming it towards his face. Not really face, but more like his chest, as he would start, bashing it with it. Remember this certain scene in, Madoka Magica? I can't remember that specific character who did that scene, but that scene literally just made me have chills. It's that character with the multiple swords. And oh boy. Oh god. And let's just say I'm probably not going to be making a Madoka Magica what if. Ever. No way. And if you're asking that, I'm not doing that. Because I'm no way not going to deal with fucking heartbreak. Oh god. That specific series sort of made me stop watching anime for a while. Take a guess why. But, let's just say I sort of became desensitized by some of that stuff. So, yeah. But either way, after, doing so, he would try to get away, but unfortunately, Izuku would throw the axe, as it would cut off his, his leg, as he would scream out in pain. As he would say this, the hell are you, he would say, as he would see this. I guess you could say the monster, he would say. As after saying that, his, now rendered Sharingan would start spinning a little bit, as he would say this. Now, burn. As after saying that, he would start creating a Onamarasu with both of his, eyes. As these eyes would start getting ready to, burn him, as a person would basically arrive to basically, save him. Which was a random, a random, member of the, of the White Fang. As he would say this. Boss, we're being overwhelmed, he would say. As after saying that, he would say this. Get us over here, he would say. As he would say this. Right. As after saying that, the man would start teleporting away, thinking that he has some sort of, semblance of specializing in teleporting, as he would say this. Damn, he got away, he would say. As after saying that, we look back and would see, an unconscious Yang and also a somewhat, awake, a somewhat awake Blake, as she would say this. Izuku, thanks for, as he would say this. Are you okay? And what happened to her arm, he would say. As she would say this. Adam, she would say, as he would say this. So that's his name. As he would start clenching his fist, as he would say this. Next time I find him, I'm gonna be tearing his throat out of his... As before he can say anything else, one of them would say this, specifically Dove. Hey, let's bring them to the hospital immediately, she would say. As he would say this. Oh, right, he would say. As after saying that, they would start getting, as they start leaving to go to the hospital to try and save Yang and also, fix up Blake's wounds. So, we go to another perspective. So, we go back to, Pyra, Jean, and finally, Ozpin. As Ozpin, Jean, and also, Pyra would start, running out of the tunnel, as we see them basically looking up at, Beacon Tower. As not only that, we also see, somebody that's also pretty mad. And that person was, well, Cinder. As Cinder would start using the last of her maiden powers, as she would say this. That bastard. And not only that bitch already gotten the rest of, the maiden powers, she would say. As after saying that, she would start flying up to the tower as she would finally arrive there. As a large, grim-like dragon would also appear there, as it seems to be circling the tower. As Cinder would say this. Now, I want you to take care of them, she would say. Send all of the Grimm to destroy the entire city, she would say. As after saying that, the dragon would start to roar. As after roaring, the dragon would start, calling upon several Grimm to basically take care of the job. And as for Ozpin, he would say this. Hey, kids, he would say. As, both Jean and also Pyra would look up at him, as they would say this. What is it, Professor Ozpin, said, Pyra, as he would say this. I'm gonna be taking care of Cinder. And as for you, I want you to get out of here immediately. As after saying this, they would say this. But that's suicide, said Jean, as he would say this. Yeah, I know. But as the headmaster of Beacon, I will not let any of you get hurt. And I want to save this world, he would say. As after saying that, they would say this. Wait, what? Said, both of them. As he would say this. Pyra, you have the power of the Maiden of, I think Fall, yeah. The Maiden of Fall. And I want you to use that to the rest of your abilities. I meant to the best of your abilities. And I want you to defeat her. And if you do so, we can try and stop her, he would say. As after saying that, she would say this. But who's her, she would say. As he would say this. You'll find out soon. Now, leave, he would say. As after saying that, both of them would start leaving to get out of there, and also try and find their friends. And as for Ozpin, he would say this. Now, let's take care of you, Cinderfall, he would say. As after saying that, we're going to be, we currently see Ozpin basically running towards the Beacon Tower to basically stop, both the dragon and also, well, her, aka, Cinder. So, we now go to the perspective of Ozpin, as Ozpin is basically seen running towards Beacon Tower. As after he arrives, we see him in front of her, Cinder. As Cinder would say this. Ah, hello there, Mr. Ozpin, she would say, as he would say this. So, you're one of the minions of that monster, she would say. He would say. As after saying that, she would say this. Don't you dare insult Please do not insult my queen, she would say. As after saying that, she would start using a bit of her maiden powers, as she would say this. Now, prepare to die, scum, she would say. As after saying that, he would say this. Very well, you misguided child. And what I'm going to say here and now is going to be my last words. As she would say this. Oh, and what are these words exactly? As he would say this. You're going to regret working with her, he would say. As after saying that, he would start, encoding his sword in a almost greenish color, signifying that he's using magic. And the fight would begin, as slashes and slashes would basically be between, him and also, Cinder. As Cinder would start using a bit of her, of her maiden powers to basically try and overpower him. But during the fight, she would also, get surprised by a bit of like Osmond when he's using a bit of his magic. Using, a bit of his magic to basically teleport rocks and basically throw it towards her. Some of these rocks were sharp enough to basically, break some of her limbs, but she was able to fix it up thanks to the help of her maiden powers, or at least sort of. As she would start creating, I can't really remember all that much about her, but I think I remember her having the ability to use. As after doing so, she would start creating, flings from her hands, as she would slowly form them into swords, as she would start clashing with Osmond once again. As during the fight, she would start seeing the large Grim Dragon basically crash into the building, as in the tower, as after doing so, everything would start to collapse, as Osmond would instantly fall to his knees. Because, after that little surprise, he would start, falling from down towards the ground, as after doing so, he would be, on the floor, as he would say this. Shit, he would say. As after saying that, she would say this. Now, any last words, Osmond, she would say, as she would be upon him with her, sword in hand, as he would say this. You're not gonna win this, including you, Cinder. You're nothing more than a pawn to her, he would say, as he would say this. She would say this. Well then, I don't really care if I'm a pawn, just as long as I serve under her. Mistress Salem, she would say, as after saying that, she would throw one last slash at him, as it would kill him in an instant. So, we go to a different perspective once again. As after doing so, we go to a different perspective, aka Izuku. As Izuku and the rest of or at least, mostly some of the members of Team, Team Carlos, and also the two other members of Team RWBY basically there. As he would say this. We're here, he would say. As after saying that, one of them would say this. Specifically, Lei Ren. As Ren would say this. Izuku, you're okay, he would say. As we also see, a somewhat tired, Nora, as she would say this. Izuku, you're okay, she would say. As he would say this. Yeah, I'm fine, he would say. As after saying that, he would look towards the other two, aka both. Wait for a second. Sorry about that. Anyway, continue on. As after saying this, we also see, both, Lei Ren and also, Nora basically walking up to both. Well, her, aka, Blake, and a now one-armed, Yang, as one would say this. Wait, what happened to Yang? What happened to her arm, she would say. Specifically, Coco there. As he would say this. They were attacked by a White Fang member, he would say. And let's just say he was definitely strong, he would say. As one would say this. Yeah, strong for us, at least, but for you, you're definitely stronger, she would say. Specifically, what is her name again? Specifically Rachel. As after saying that, one of them would say this. Wait, where's your girlfriend? Said, Pyra. Not Pyra, I meant, Nora. As everything falls silent. As Izuku would start, pointing to the ground. Or not really to the ground, but more like, basically hung his head low. As after doing so, we also see, some of the members of Team, not Cardinal, I meant, Team Carlos basically also hanging their heads low as well. As Izuku would say this. I couldn't save her, he would say. As after saying this, everybody would just, would gasp as one of them would say this. Wait, did she? As he would say this. Yeah. She sacrificed herself. As after saying that, he would start to cry. As, Dove would say this. Yeah, it was it was my fault. If I wasn't so reckless, she could have, as he would say this. Yeah, I just, as he would fall to his knees once again, as he would start crying even more, as he would say this. If I could, if I could, I can't even revive her, he would say. As after saying that, he would start falling to his knees even more, as Lyren would say this. Izuku, please, don't blame yourself, he would say. As he would say this. No, it is my fault. I was meant to protect her, but, he would say, as he would start crying even more, as his eyes would start becoming a little bit more watery, as his Sharingan would start spinning even more. Because remember, the Sharingan is basically fueled by emotion, and because this emotion, aka sadness, is an emotion, well, it starts becoming even stronger. As after doing so, one of them would say this, specifically, Velvet, Izuku, calm down, she would say. As after saying that, Izuku would look at her, as he would say this. You're, well, sort of right, but still, I should have saved her, he would say. As after saying that, one of them would say this. Izuku, I think it's better for you to basically rest now. After all, you're pretty tired after that, little fight. As after saying that, he would say this. Yeah, I guess you're right. But before they can say anything else, they would start to see a large beaming light as they would look towards the Tower of Beacon, as one of them would say this, specifically General Ironwood. What the hell is that? He would say, or she would say, as one of them would say this. Wait, what the heck is happening to the Dragon Grim? Said one of them. As the Dragon Grim would slowly start turning into something similar to stone. As after doing so, the dragon would turn nothing more than a statue. So, after that, we are going to be, seeing Izuku just like surprised. You almost thought I was about to say this is the end of the episode. No, this is still pretty much, still continuing on. But either way, as Izuku would say this, what the heck was that, he would say. As one of them would say this, Izuku, just rest. Just let the Atlas soldiers do this, he would say. One of them would say, as he would say this. I guess he would say. As after saying that, we go back to, to Pyra and also Jean. As Jean and Pyra basically arrive back at, at the meeting place, as Pyra would say this. Guys, we're here, said, Pyra. As we finally go back to Izuku again. Yeah, that was pretty simple. But either way, as Izuku would say this. Pyra, Jean, you're okay, he would say. As after saying that, one of them would say this. Izuku, you're fine. Wait, where's... As she would start looking around, as she would say this. Wait, where's Skyla, your girlfriend? Said one of them, specifically Pyra. As after saying that, Izuku would start hanging his head low. As one of them would say this. Well, said Dove, as she would say this. She sacrificed herself for me. As after saying that, both of them would be shocked, as one of them would say this. Oh, I see, said, a pretty sad Pyra, as one of them would say this, specifically, Jean, as she would say this. Oh, well, I'm sorry, she would say. I'm sorry for your loss, said, Jean, as she would say this to herself. Well, I mean, there's just sort of a good side. I mean, because she's out of the way, maybe it can make Izuku happy, she would say to herself. And as for Pyra, she would say this. Maybe I can help Izuku out. Wait, what am I saying? He's probably still suffering. As after saying that to herself, we go back to Izuku, as Izuku would say this. I feel tired, guys. As after saying that, he would, start feeling a little bit sleepy, as, one of them would say this, specifically, Rachel, as she would say this. Whoa, hold there, guy, he would say. As after saying that, he would say this. Oh, thanks, Rachel, he would say, as she would say this. Alright then, we should probably get some sleep, or at least, get you somewhere to basically rest, she would say, as he would say this. I guess you're right, he would say. As after saying that, he would start bringing Izuku towards, a different area, more specifically somewhere to basically rest. So, we go to another perspective once again. As we also see Izuku there, as, or at least, not really Izuku, but more like, some of the, adults of this series, aka Crow, and also, General Ironwood, as he would say this. I meant she. So, this is your, as he would say this. Yeah. I'm guessing she was able to use her powers, she would say. As one of them would say this, specifically, her, as she would say this. So, she's able to use those white eyes, she would say. I meant those silver eyes of hers, she would say. As after saying that, he would say this. Yeah, now, let's get leaving. As after saying that, they would start leaving the area. As everybody was told to basically leave, immediately. And after doing so, they would start leaving, Beacon and Vale. So, as after, a few months have gone by, we see Izuku waking up. As he would say this. Ugh, God, where am I, he would say. As after saying that, he would start looking around, as he would realize that he's in a cabin. As he would say this. Where am I, he would say. As after saying this, we see Izuku there. As Izuku's, I meant, not Izuku there, but more like, he's basically looking around. As he would say this. Where am I? As before he can say anything else, that person would basically jump, or at least, or at least open the door. As this person was a man? He has blonde hair and also has, this man seems to have blonde hair and somewhat resembles Yang. Sort of. As he would say this. Oh, you must be Zuku, he would say. As he would say this. Wait, who are you, he would say. As he would say this. Oh, just call me Tai Yang. Tai Yang Xiaolong, he would say. As he would say this. Wait, Xiaolong. Wait, are you related to... As he would say this. Yep. You might have heard of my daughter, Yang, he would say. As he would say this. So, you're Yang's dad. But where am I, he would say. As he would say this. Oh, you're currently in my cabin. Or house, to say the least, he would say. As he would say this. Oh, I see, he would say. As after saying that, we also see, the rest of Team Team Colorless, I meant, basically arriving on the scene, as they would say this. Izuku, you're okay, said, Rachel, as, Dove would also come to him, as they would basically, hug him, as, Dove would say this. Izuku, you're okay. I thought you were dead, said one of them. Specifically, Dove, as he would say this. Well, I'm definitely not dead, he would say, as one of them would say this. Yeah, we're pretty thankful that you're okay, said, Rachel, as he would say this. Now, either way, why am I here, and what happened to Beacon, he would say, as he would say this. Well, let's just say Beacon is currently not in a good state. As he would start to explain. Apparently, Beacon is now ruined. Now turned into basically into a large hotspot for mostly, Grim. As apparently the now statue, Grim Dragon is now becoming a large beacon for... beacon. Basically, it became a beacon towards, other Grims, as they're currently, surrounding the area. Now basically can, attracted to the now ruins of, Beacon. As he would say this. I see. So, how about the others, he would say. As one of them would say this. At least, wait for a second. Dove would say this. Well, Team Juniper is pretty okay. Well, sort of with Pyra, she would say. As he would say this. What happened to what happened to Pyra? I was about to say frickin' Papyrus. I was just like, wait, what Papyrus? Why did I think that? What the Oh god, I can just imagine Gene! Gene, do you want my spaghetti? Fucking damn it! God, that is a cursed image that I thought of. No, if you ever... Just imagine making fan art of that. No. Oh god, just imagine the skeleton of, Pyra, and it just looks like Papyrus. Oh god, that is cursed. Oh, whatever, continue on with the episode. God, I do not want to think that. But either way, as, he would say this. Wait, what happened to Pyra, he would say. As she would say this. Well, apparently a Grim basically came in, almost, almost killing us. But Pyra sort of saved us, but at the cost of her eye, she would say. As he would say this. I see. So he lost her eye, he would say. As she would say this. Yeah. And for Ozpin, she would say. As he would say this. What happened to Ozpin, he would say. As he would say this. I meant she. Well, he sacrificed himself, she would say. As after saying that, Izuku would say this. I see. Well, may you rest in peace, he would say. As after saying that, Tai Long would say this. Oh, and by the way, Izuku, he would say, as he would say this. Yeah, Mr. Xiaolong, he would say, as he would say this. Hey, you don't need me to do formalities or anything of the sort. Just call me Tai Yang, as he would say this. Yeah, what is it, Tai Yang, he would say, as he would say this. Well, I think it's better for you to eat for now, he would say. You definitely don't really look in the gooder shapes, he would say, as he would say this. I guess I'm starting to feel a little bit hungry. As after saying so, he would start leaving to basically eat with the rest of the others. So, as while they were eating, they would also notice, well, Yang. As Yang would still have her missing arm. As she was currently, well, on the couch, as she's not eating. And as for Ruby's currently still in her room, as she seems to be talking with Crow. As Izuku, while eating, he would see the news. Apparently the news is spreading about how how do we say this? Wait for a second. How everything is going to shit. More specifically, how Beacon is now turned into a large grim spot. And also, not only that, wait for a second. What the fuck? What the fuck did I just hear? What the Okay, whatever now. But either way, so, apparently, currently, Beacon is currently turned into a hotspot for Grim, and currently the citizens of Vales have been taken care of by some of the, Atlas soldiers. As currently Atlas is trying to take care of some of the Grim threat. As he would say this. So it really is going to shit, he would say. As after saying that, well, he would say this, specifically Tai Yang. Yeah, I guess you can say that. As after saying so, he would start looking at the news a little bit, as he would say this. Just hope they're safe, he would say. Or at least some of the citizens, he would say. As after saying that, we go to a different, perspective once again. As we go to a large area that seems to be perpetually night. As we also see a girl, or a woman to say the least, basically walking on some steps, as she's currently covered in this almost beautiful black and red dress, as she would say this. Soon, this is after all, the beginning of the end, she would say. And I hope to see you again, Ozpin. In hell, she would say, as the woman would start looking at the camera. As this woman seems to have whitish hair and reddish eyes. Or at least her, pupils are red. As her entire eye is completely blackened. As several veins would be popping out of her, eyes. As she would smile, knowing that Beacon has fallen. As she would say this, soon, this world shall fall. Unfortunately for Cinder, she couldn't get the rest of the maiden powers. But for now, soon, I'll take over this world. And as for you, Izuku Midoriya, soon you will be mine. Maybe I should turn you into my king, she would say. As after saying this, we're going to another perspective. And let's just say this perspective is about, well, moi. As we currently see me, basically, finishing up the final touches with, the new ship. As in, well, the ship that is going to be meant for, well, the Azure Lane universe, as he would say this. I just need one final touch, he would say, as he would start looking at a different universe. As, after a bit of looking, he would say this. Never seen this place before, he would say, as he would start looking at it, as he would notice the land seemed to be in the center of a large glowing tree. And you probably know this, as he would also notice a lot of people. Some of them having like multiple limbs seemed to be grafted on him. One was a woman with the ability to start using this weird, almost terrifying poison which he was interested in. As, we would see me saying this. Huh, what is this, he would say. As after a bit of researching, he would say, Scarlet Rot, he would say. As after saying that, he would say this. Maybe I should add that, he would say. As after adding that, he would say, gravity magic, he would say. Well, this is certainly interesting. It kind of reminds me of Sans. Ugh, God, Sans. As he would say this. Hey there, buddy, he would say. As he would say this. Oh, God damn it, Sans, he would say. What? What is it? As he would say this. Well, I was quite interested in this world. As after saying that, he would say this. Really? As after saying this, he would start looking at the place as he would say this. Dang, that place is fucked up, he would say. As he would say this. Yeah, it's definitely in the same levels as, like, the Nasuverse, but definitely not the same, he would say. As he would say this. I wonder what is your conflict exactly. As he would say this. Well, it's apparently about this thing known as the Elden Ring. Apparently there's these Elden Lords, demigods, blah blah blah, or something of that sort. It's definitely crazy, he would say. As he would say this. Then what are you doing, he would say. As he would say this. Well, I'm maybe adding also the Scarlet Rot thing. It's definitely interesting. It's similar to poison, but even stronger. It would be perfect for them to basically use it on those sirens, he would say. As he would say this. Oh, and by the way, who's your, next host, he would say. As he would say this. Probably another Izuku. As he would say this. It would make sense for you. I mean, have you seen some of the universes that he was in right now? As he would say this. Yeah, several of those universes are fucked up, he would say. As he would say this. Yep, especially that one, he would say. As he would start looking at another universe, as this universe is where Izuku has the ability to use candy. But instead of being sweet, he's got, like, the complete opposite, as he's basically, like, causing a bit of chaos, saying, like, take this for calling me, that's what you get for calling me sweet, or something like that sort. As after saying that, he would say, well, I'm definitely not adding him, he would say. As after adding the Scarlet Rot, as he would say this. This gravity magic and this, I think it was called, what is that called again? Especially with this Karian and also Glinstone sorceries, he would say. As after saying that, he would say this, specifically Sans. Maybe you should try and use it, he would say. As he would say this. Yeah, why not? Especially this Karian sorceries. I also like this special sorcery over here, he would say. As he would start looking at a sorcery that seems to be similar to holy or, light magic, as he would say this. I don't like this one, this so-called Golden Order sorceries, but I also like this sorcery as well, specifically these two, as these seem to be Dragon Communion and Dragon Cult magic, or sorceries, as he would say this, specifically Sans. It definitely seems fun, but the whole killing dragons thing is definitely not my style, he would say, as he would say this. Yeah, but because I'm the god of the multiverse, or at least the new god of the multiverse, well, I can definitely just, change it for him to basically just, get, all of the spells without just basically killing dragons, he would say. As he would say this. Makes sense, he would say. As after saying this, he would decide to add that, or at least I decided to add that, to the ship as well. And so, we're gonna be ending this episode right off here. So yeah, this is basically going to be the end of this episode, and also the end of Volume 3. As, we're gonna be ending this episode right off here. So, I hope you like the little end bit, which is basically just like me just going like, why not basically add a bit of, Elden Ring into this? Because that is actually an actual thing that I did. The little side tangent before we actually end this episode off. Basically, when I was first getting into, into Azure Lane, I was also getting into Elden Ring as well. And if you're asking, no, I don't really have anything to play with like Elden Ring. I don't even know how to play it at all. But I do like the aesthetics of it. It's basically like, Dark Souls, but much, much, much better. And not only that, I'm also really fond of like the whole system of it, especially when it comes to like some of the some of the spells and also some of the well, the spirit ashes. The spirit ashes are also my favorite. Like all of like, God, so cool. So yeah, at the time I was just like going like, yeah, maybe I should make an OC at the time. Like I was making like an OC that's basically like he's an Elden Ring, and basically, or at least like the idea of him basically like being isekai to well, to the world of like Azure Lane. I could just imagine him basically going like, oh, the like he's basically like he has a friend of him, or at least he has a friend that basically likes Azure Lane, and he goes like, huh, do you really like that weeb shit? He would basically goes like, yeah, similar to that, as he would start to leaving him, or at least start leaving him to basically play some Elden Ring. But after a while, basically doing some Elden Ring, he would decide to get some food, and he would basically get hit by a car, blah blah blah. Basically, gets teleported to that world. But he would also gain the powers of every single weapon. Basically all of the weapons, all of the boss's abilities, all of the items and other stuff from Elden Ring. So yeah, just imagine something of that sort. That is what I thought of before I actually made that idea. Or at least sort of. But either way, so yeah, this is going to be the end of this episode and also the end of Volume 3. So yeah, I hope you liked the video, comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!